Hello everyone, today in this video we will fight against the advanced character of our world around us, and this time we will talk about the beginnings of the idea of European Union. And to track this process from its early beginning, one needs to track back to the famous speech that took place in September in Munich in 1940 and was given by Minister of Propaganda of the Third Reich, Mr. Joseph Goebbels, in which Mr. Joseph G stated that the goal of the German activity is to build the European Union, within which, with time, ethnic interests and also national differences will be eradicated with time, and one big European Federation, something like United States of Europe, will be created. But of course, taking into account that Nazi stands for National Socialism, means that the main ideology within this is super state, if it was to be effectively created, would have been socialism. And now, coming back to the main friend of Mr. Joseph Goebbels and his former boss, Mr. Adolf Hitler, we have to say that Mr. Adolf in 1929 had an interesting speech in which he said, which is actually true, that socialism is a misfortunate word because almost it is misunderstood, and each person understands something different under it. To him, socialism was the situation in which people have some food and some entertainment. It means he referred to, I don't know intentionally or not, to the old Roman principle bread and circus for the masses. But we see now that this European Union that Germans were planning was supposed to be created by force, and there were also different conferences for German industrialists and enterprises, like in 1942. They were planning to erase all customs, fees and limitations in the transportation of goods and humans in between countries. We have heard it somewhere, yes, and they would like to also eliminate unnecessary local governments. We heard it somewhere, and of course, common currency. We hear it somewhere. We know it. We know it from somewhere, yeah. And of course, main bank. Of course, everything in Germany, and planning economy, of course. And of course, protection of nature, and so on and so on. So the only difference between the European Union that was supposed to be proposed by Third Reich higher officials and the European Union we have now, the only differences I see are that in current European Union elites rejected Eurocentrism and racism. They use racism to fight and make native population disintegrate the nations. That's why they use immigrants and they use racism against the local population. But they rejected the version of racism Third Reich was using. And of course, officially they didn't incorporate it, and in practice they didn't incorporate the countries into European Union by force. These are the only differences. And of course, it's also modern entity, European Union, it's also heavily socialistic. And we see that the roots of European Union come from the German business political elites, and also from the German ambitions to rule the Europe. And now I'm surprised that not so many people know it and not so many people track it. But one of the interpretations why is this knowledge not so common is the fact that people not necessarily have access or not necessarily are willing to read the books or articles written by people who were collaborating with Germans. Like I will refer here to one of my favorite actually writer and intellectual and soldier of Walloon origin, French-speaking Belgian guy, Mr. Leon de Grelle, who was writing, for instance, in his book The Eastern Front, that he decided to join the armed forces formed for foreigners by Germans to battle Bolshevism. He joined them because of two main reasons. He wanted to fight against Bolshevism he despised and hated so much, yes, and he mentioned openly that he wanted to secure good position of his homeland, Belgium or Wallonia, in the new Europe which was supposed to be formed after German victory. He even said new union of European nations under German leadership. So people those days who were interested in the current events knew what was the plan of the Germans, and it was actually to a large extent, as I mentioned, the plan of forming European Union under the German leadership. And the thing, also with respect to my country, Poland refused to work in Germany, to work together with Germany, last time in January 1939. The price we have paid for it was horrible, but Germans even for several years, 4 years, were trying to seduce Polish dictatorial government of 1930s those days to join the Axis against Soviet Union. Unfortunately, I have to say, our elites were still under the charm and influence of France. In 1920s, Poland was even called by many Western European publicists as French satellite with respect to our foreign policy, and under the charm of the false promises, the deception of the British diplomacy. And unfortunately we paid horrible price. Later, of course, when the leader of the Third Reich realized that Polish people are not willing to support him, he promised that he would give us hell, and he kept his promise, unfortunately. But for a few years they were trying to have us as an ally, of course, on their conditions. Like in modern European Union now we see everything is under the German leadership. But in contrast to nowadays, I wouldn't like to join German European Union in the shape we will have it now, because now Germany is economically, culturally, and demographically dying. So it's like joining this union now. It's like sewing yourself with together with the dead body within one bag and jumping to the water. But in 1930s it was completely different, vibrant, strong industrial society. So we see that some nations, unfortunately this is my nation, have incredible talent to make each time bad choices. We will see how the things will go out. But now how things will work out. But now we know the real roots of the European Union, that is slowly being forming in a little bit modified version, as I mentioned, in front of our eyes. Currently it's happening, unfortunately. This time it's not the time, not the shape normal people would accept. And of course, the union proposed by Germans in 1930s and 40s would have a very conservative approach to the family and population reproduction issues. All the best, have a nice day, bye.